I'm going to show you how to use a zipper foot in order to install a zipper on a project. So to start with, you need to put the zipper foot on your machine. Zipper feet look like this, and the reason they look this way, notice the really skinny foot, is because it needs to fit on each side of the zipper and slide right down the zipper, so it needs to be narrow. To put this foot on the machine, you need to take your old foot off. Use the large screw on the side to loosen up and remove that old foot. Put it aside for now. You can put it in your accessory box if you wish. Then bring the new foot around. Now take a good look at this zipper foot. You'll notice there's these teeth. I call them the clamps or the grippy clamps. You want to bring those around from the back and line them up so that you can put the screw back in between those clamps. Try to catch it and start to tighten it. Make sure you go until it's completely tight. Now, one really important safety thing that you need to check before you ever start to sew a zipper, you need to make sure that the needle actually clears the foot, because if the foot has been moved to the left or right, you'll have a problem with the needle hitting the foot. You can adjust in the back here, this green button. If you turn it, you can see the needle will slide left and right. To make sure you have it aligned properly, I line it up where it looks like it's going to be correct. Then I just roll my needle down a bit. You can see how it's hitting the foot here. That means I need to just slide it over a bit more. And then again, try to bring that needle down. Yes, now I can see that it's clearing. So I'll leave the needle down a little bit, reach back here and tighten it up so that it doesn't shift on me as I'm tightening it up. Once that's done, bring that needle back up to its top position. Always when you're starting to sew, threads to the back. Now the first step in sewing a zipper is to think about a zipper as being just like a piece of fabric. When I sew two pieces of fabric together, usually I sew them right sides together. It's no different with the zipper. So our zipper has a right side, that's the side with the teeth that we can see, and it also has a wrong side where it looks like it's backwards or inside out. So you want to make sure that the right side of the zipper is facing the right side of your fabric. The biggest challenge with sewing a zipper is getting around that zipper pull. So to get the zipper pull out of the way, I suggest that you might actually want to do this before you put your pin. Just go ahead and unzip your zipper about halfway. Put the pin back in. Now you only have half of your zipper pinned there, but you can see how the zipper is face down and it's facing the right side of the fabric. I've lined up the edge of the zipper with the edge of the fabric. I serged it first just to keep it nice and clean. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew. And when I sew, I'm going to sew down the middle of this portion of the zipper tape. So go ahead and line it up, drop your foot, drop your needle. You can start by going forward a few stitches and reverse a few stitches. And then go ahead, go forward, stopping as you go, removing pins, and sewing until you get close to your zipper. When you get close to your zipper, make sure your needle is down, lift your foot, reach around and just kind of wiggle, maneuver the fabric and the zipper in order to zip it up. Now you've moved the pull tab out of the way. You can lower your foot and continue sewing. Go to the end of the zipper, do a small reverse, small forward, finish. Go ahead, lift your needle, lift your foot, and just pull. Cut your threads, cut your starter threads, and as you can see, you have now sewn half of the zipper. So you're halfway there. Same idea for the other side. This is where students often get confused. They cannot figure out how to position that second side of the fabric onto the zipper. Again, remember, it's the same idea. You want the right side of the zipper touching the right side of the fabric. So you need to put them right sides together. Now this looks odd because I can't see the zipper. I've covered it up. All you need to do is take it and spin it around. So look at it from the zipper side, and you can see how now I'm going to be sewing the second side. I'll set it up the same way, putting a pin at the start and another pin close to the finish of the zipper. And I'm going to sew the second side just like the first side. So here we go. Again, foot down, needle down, forward a few, reverse a few, and forward. Make sure your needle is down, lift your foot, and you have to kind of work with it a little bit. You can just sort of reach in there with your left hand and zip that zipper out of the way. Always remember to have your needle down when you do anything where you lift the foot, because that needle will hold your project in place so it doesn't move around. Foot back down, finish the seam. At the end of the tape, reversing, and forward a few. Needle up, foot up, turn, cut your threads, cut your starter threads, and now zip the zipper shut and you will see you have sewn a zipper. Now it's time to press. To press your zipper that you've just finished sewing, flip it over so you're looking at the wrong side first. Pull it out flat at the sides. You don't want your fabric bunched in the middle because you'll end up with some creases covering, the fabric will cover the zipper. So pull that fabric out as far as you can. Nice and flat. And then go ahead with your iron, and don't be afraid to just put it right on top of the zipper for a quick little steam. You don't want to keep it on there for a long time, but a quick steam to get it flat is all that's required. Once you've pressed the wrong side, flip it over, take a look at it, press it a second time on the right side. Again, make sure you are pulling that fabric out at each side, nice and flat. We don't want, I call them accordion folds, where you have fabric folded over top of the zipper. So pull it out flat on each side, give it a quick press on the one side, quick press on the other side, and that zipper is now ready for top stitching. To finish this zipper, we just need to top stitch. We're going to top stitch on each side of the zipper, close to the edge of the fabric, but not falling off the edge. Top stitching helps to keep the fabric from creeping over and getting caught in the zipper teeth. So to get started, line it up. I like to start a little ways away from the edge. If you start right at the very edge, sometimes you end up with a fabric jam because the machine gets caught on the edge of the zipper. So start a little ways forward, go ahead, advance a few stitches, and then reverse all the way back into the start. Let go and go straight. Try to keep it straight and steady. Remember, top stitching is visible, so you want to make sure it looks even from start to finish. When you get close to the end, slow down a little bit, approach the end of the fabric, reverse a small amount, let go, forward a few, foot up, needle up, and trim your threads. You will do the same for the other side of the zipper, and that is how you sew a centered top stitched zipper. Now that you have installed your zipper on both pieces of your fabric, you can go ahead and finish this project and turn it into a zippered pouch. It's quite simple. All you need to do is take those two pieces of fabric and place them right sides together and line up those edges. Place a few pins to keep them from shifting. Once you've got them set up, you're going to sew those three straight edges together in three separate seams. Each one of those seams on the 15 line, making sure you start with a reverse and finish with a reverse. I'm going to start with the first seam, which is on the right side of the bag when it's inside out. I'll start a little ways in from the edge, because if you try to start right on the edge, sometimes the machine gets kind of caught or jammed on the edge and it has a hard time going forward. So just position it a little ways in from that top edge so you know for sure you're sewing into fabric. On the 15 line, go ahead, put your needle down, foot down, forward a few, reverse a few. When you reverse, try to come all the way to the very edge so you close off the corners, and then go ahead and go forward. Reversing at the end. Cut your threads. You'll do the same for the bottom and also for the other side. These little corners, these little L-shaped corners, are going to be left open for now. You'll do those later. So I'm just coming to the end of the last of the 3 seams, removing that last pin. I'm going to sew all the way up into that top piece of the zipper tape because I really want to try to close off those edges. I don't want raw edges poking out when I flip this right side out. Try to keep your seam allowances lying flat underneath. If you need to push them into place, go ahead and do that. Coming up and over top, right up to that very edge. A little reverse, a little forward. Sometimes I do it twice just to make sure it's strong. And then go ahead, lift and trim your threads. And now you can see that all 3 sides of this bag have been sewn. I started here, I came down this side, I came across the bottom, and I came up the other side. 3 separate seams. So I took the bag that was flat, and now I'm taking it and I'm separating those 2 layers of fabric and pulling them apart and opening up these seam allowances. They're so small, the seam that you're going to sew is so small that you can press it later on. It might be easier to press after you've sewn it. I just pin my seam allowances open on each side. I'll show you after I've pinned this one how I try to keep your seam allowance open and open. I lined up that seam with this seam, so they're sitting on top of each other. And now I'm just going to sew across this to create a box-like finish on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead, put it into the machine, still at the 15 line, and this is a short seam, as you can see. So I'm lining it up, and I'm putting the foot down where the fabric starts when I have this edge on the 15 line. So I'm just sewing off almost like a little piece at the bottom there that's going to create a box when this is done. Keep the seam allowance open. Do a little reverse when you get to the end. Go ahead and lift, pull, trim your threads. And you're going to do the same thing for the other side, where you're just pulling it apart and laying those 2 seams that you did earlier on top of each other, opening up those seam allowances, putting a pin in each side and sewing it exactly the same way. And now you have a pouch with squared off corners at the bottom.